Welcome to the Unfiltered Duo podcast. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Cheryl.
And this is how the unfiltered chaos makes sense.
All right. Hello, Carrie.
Hi, Cheryl.
How have you been?
Good. We had a fun weekend this weekend, didn't we?
We did. I liked getting to go to the concert.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what was it? Uncle Jesse was the name of the band. It's a little cover band. It was good.
It was fun. They did really well.
If anybody saw the TikTok, like we were singing.
Yeah, go follow us on TikTok too. There's
Yes.
lots of fun content.
We're gonna like post more stuff of we're always out and about and going to do stuff, and we could even start like touring places and tell people about it.
Oh,
Northern Virginia tours.
Interesting history with Cheryl and Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
Off we go. Or just make random stuff up.
Right.
These stairs
are awful. So, yeah. So last episode was Mormon versus non-Mormon, and we have a part 2.
Yep, part 2. Here we come.
Yep. So, what do you want to dive into?
Well, we kind of ended with music last time, and we were talking about how music played a role into us growing up. And for our first record, I got the Green Day Dookie album that we're going to add to our collection. So we're going to find the various artists that we like and fill up our record collection as we go. So, but yeah, music was a huge part of growing up and shaping us. And so we covered music, but I wanted to.
Well, did we really though for you? Like, I know I talked about like the music that I listened to, but like what was appropriate for you in the house?
Yeah, there was music that didn't have any swearing, so there's no cussing, no bad words. That's why this Green Day was a little triggering, I guess, for my sister and having it around because it did have language. But yeah, we stuck to artists like Wilson Phillips and Amy Grant and Clint Black and those types
old school.
Yeah, that's what happened when we were little. I mean, my dad would play like Foreigner and Alabama and those types of bands too. So I know a lot of like ZZ Top.
Those are classics.
Yeah, very classic music, but nothing like what you grew up listening to.
Which I can't say my parents really did either. Like they listened to a lot of 80s, which now that I'm becoming older, I'm realizing why they did stuff like that. Because I tend to stick to like 90s and 2000 and ride around and listen to it. And I'm like, this is amazing, which hindsight now I'm like, no, I'm old. I'm so old. I'm that generation. But like the Beatles. So I wore my Beatles shirt because I was like, I remember you talking, and I even met your parents and they listened to the Beatles. So I was like, it's appropriate.
Yeah. No, I love the Beatles though. I mean, when we were in London, we got to go to Abbey Road.
Yes.
And that was like, I mean, massive bucket list in my life was that moment.
And like that's on my shirt. And we need to post a picture of us doing the Abbey Road walk.
Oh, yeah, we should.
That would be cute.
Yeah. Because we like took turns filming each other as we were crossing the Abbey Road. It was very fun.
And then didn't we got a random stranger do all 4 of us, right?
No, we didn't get a stranger to do it. I put those 2 because I made you that album, the photo book. Yeah, I took the 2 pictures of us and just put us together, so it looks like we did.
Oh, I was like, I think we got a stranger to do it. I guess not.
No, because it's still like a normal city street, and they don't like section it off or like do anything. Like
no, it was chaos.
I know, it's like Frogger. You're literally dodging traffic trying to cross Abbey Road. But anyway, that was, I mean, I'm never going to forget that moment.
I know.
You
were very emotional.
I was. It was like.
It's so surreal, though, to be at that location.
And with like a band I've listened to since I was like 8. Like I know they weren't alive. Some of them weren't alive for my whole life. You know, like, and they weren't active band, but like when their anthology came out, I was listening to that, and like all of the things. Like we would go to, it wasn't Blockbuster Video, but it was like the video store in a grocery store.
Oh yeah, yeah. They used to do that. I forgot about that.
We're showing our age.
I know.
But yeah, so my mom would go grocery shopping, and then like Tuesdays were like $1 a video type of day. And so I would literally go rent the VHSs of the Beatles anthology. And I would sit out and like just watch and watch and watch until we had to, take it back or whatever. But that was my like movie of choice when we went to Blockbuster Videos.
That's fun.
Isn't that ridiculous? I was a nerdy little kid. But that's like the songs I first learned to play on the guitar were Beatles songs. So it's like I can.
That's cool though.
Yeah. So, and then like the songs I sang to my kids are all Beatles songs when they were babies.
Aww.
So it's like I didn't sing lullabies, I didn't sing church songs, I didn't sing any of that. I literally just sang Beatles songs to them.
I just made up my own songs for them. They got OG original from Cheryl.
OG Cheryl songs. Do you remember any of these songs?
No. No, I usually like spur of the moment. I would take like a tune and then I would replace all the words. And I still do that with my dogs now. So I did it this morning to Rue.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's fun.
That is funny. But that's how like that type of like any type of music that was talking about sex or drugs or swearing, it wasn't allowed in my world. And Mormons they used to be really big on like youth dances. Oh. And so a bunch of congregations would get together like the third Saturday of every month and have a dance, like a social dance. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was a great way to get to know other kids in the area. And I mean, it was a lot of fun.
To definitely keep you in the circle.
Yes. And the DJs would have specific instructions on what songs were appropriate and not. So even in that type of situation, like certain type of dancing goes along with certain type of music.
Right.
Like there's just themes to songs and dancing and how they go together. And like certain type of dancing wasn't approved. So we couldn't dance like that at these dances. I mean, I'm sure your mother's visits were a lot different than my church dances that I went to.
Yes, definitely. Yes. No, not the same thing. Yeah. School dances, it was like, show face and then leave. Because they were like that too. They couldn't play certain music. But I would say that I bet they, like, I remember it being different. And I think they did a lot of the parental, like, style records where it would bleep stuff out or cut it or, rename it.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I would say along with these church dances, and even at like BYU, the church school, there's a dress code you have to follow. And to get into the dances, if you didn't follow that dress code, you weren't allowed in. Yeah.
Yeah, like my senior year, I had a 2-piece, like, prom dress.
No, thank you.
And that was no.
No, they would just send you home.
Oh my gosh. I know. And like I had my belly button pierced too, which I know that was not a thing for you guys. Like I got that at like 15. And so it's very odd. Like I started thinking about it, and it's like my mom was very strict with things that were not like what we're talking about. She was more strict on like time, how long that I was gone, phone calls, who I associated with. Like if she didn't like them, it was like that person was completely, she would make it so hard for me to hang out with that person. So I became very sneaky because of that. But yeah, like she wasn't that worried about the things that we're talking about though.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, like I think in my world, my parents just had the expectation that you would just kind of fall in line and do what you're supposed to do. So,
well, and if you're surrounded by people that are doing the same thing, like
yeah.
you went to public school, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't associate with all of the kids, probably. Like you picked and chose based on your religion.
Yeah.
And with me, it was like, I was fine as long as I liked the person hanging out with them. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I did have my like core group of friends.
Yeah.
And I was in marching band. And so it was basically just my marching band friends. And like, because we were together so much, because
Yeah.
marching band is like an intense thing. And you just build, when you just build those friendships. So like, I know a lot of my marching band friends I'm still friends with on like Facebook, and like we follow each other's adventures kind of stuff. So yeah, I do have like that core group, but
Yeah.
I also didn't like high school, so that's another story for another day.
I don't think if anybody ever says that they liked high school, I start evaluating like what kind of person they were.
Right.
I'm like,
Mhm.
I did not care for it. Like I was there, but like kids are cruel and getting picked on, or always drama, or
Yeah, no,
rumors.
terrible.
I just was like, I'm ready to leave.
Yeah, so was I. But with the dances and being dress coded and everything like that, like we had certain dress standards because as adult members of the church, we have to wear what are called garments. And they're underwear that once you go through the temple, you're required to wear. And the garments cover your shoulders. Well, they're releasing new ones that are a wider tank top. So I guess they're relaxing
That's
God's
good. Oh, well,
standard.
they're changing.
Yeah, they're
like,
changing.
oh, well, God now
God,
today is
yeah,
okay with it.
yeah, okay. It's okay now, but it wasn't a year ago. So I don't, yeah. Anyway, for a church who claims it doesn't change, it changes. And
Yeah.
it's sad that they still stand behind the we don't change mentality.
But they do.
Because yeah, there have been a lot of changes. So it's like, please just get rid of the stereotype, get rid of that like forgot who was there. Like get rid of the mindset that they don't change. Embrace the change, and then people won't be
Right.
so mad about it. But anyway, um, but yeah, you can't show your shoulders, so you had to have sleeves, and you have to wear, I said shorts nearer to the knee than to the hip. So it's like you literally,
My thighs over here.
I know.
Well, you could wear them as like under. That would have been funny if you would have like short shorts and then had your little
yes, but
leggings.
right, but you're instructed not to show anyone your garments because
that's
they're
true.
sacred. So you don't show them to anyone. So
right.
yeah, you have to cover them up.
So we're going to get into these garments because I know I found that I just did it too. I find it fascinating or interesting because to me, I think it would be very hot to wear that. And then you're also layering your clothes.
Mm-hmm.
During the winter, that wouldn't be a big deal. But during the summer, I would be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm dying. You basically have two shirts because it's a two-piece outfit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So you have these long pants, shirt, and then you're putting a layer over that, but you also don't want people to see it. So you have to make sure that everything's covered. How was that?
It was, I mean, honestly awful.
Ugh.
Like I don't like getting overheated. And like I went to Disney World and
you wore that?
Yeah. Oh, like I can show
Disney
you
is
the
so
pictures.
hot.
I know. Like
unless you're in the winter and then it's like
no, it was
better.
June when I went.
Mm-mm.
So when I went to Disney World the first time wearing garments, like I was pregnant with my first kid, like it was kind of miserable. I also had my 4-year-old niece with me.
Oh gosh.
I mean, she was adorable except for one part, and then she just screamed her little head off. But she was cute. And my mom, my sister, and my husband. So like we were all down there. But yeah, like being pregnant, wearing double layers of clothing at Disney World.
Uh-uh.
Like it was miserable.
My first
And
kid, I was pregnant during the summer. I wore bathing suits everywhere. Like if I was at home, I just walked around in a bathing suit. It was so hot.
yeah, I know. So
So layering up,
layering
no,
all of the time. All the
no.
time.
I wouldn't go out in public. I just would be like, I'm just gonna stay home.
Done. Um, well, and that led to like a lot of issues with me because like I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to go out in my backyard and play. I didn't want to go do any of that because literally like it was hot and miserable.
Yeah.
Like mowing the lawn
Uh-uh.
and yard work. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I was just like, it's too hot. I don't like it. Like it's so the first like summer I spent without layering up, I was like, summer is amazing.
I can
I
feel the
was like,
breeze.
wait a second, is this what everyone else is doing? It's like,
Yeah.
because yeah, like, and the fabrics that they use, they try to be breathable, they try to be this, they try, they try, but it just never worked to double layer yourself all the time.
No.
Like, you can't. So, like, even now that I wear shorter shorts and tank tops and stuff, I still get hot, and I'm like, how did I survive?
Heat stroke.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
what I think of.
Yeah, like I didn't stay any more hydrated than I do now. Like it was,
Right.
and I'm bad at hydrating myself.
If anything, you
Yeah,
might be
I
dehydrated,
am dehydrating
depending.
myself. But that's what it was. Yeah, it was not fun. I did not enjoy it. It did not. I did not ever feel like it brought me closer to a God just because I was wearing it.
I could see that. I think I would be more frustrated, and I'd be like, why would God? I guess like where did and you probably know this, where did the garments come from? Like who decided? Like I don't I don't know the Bible in and out, but I don't think that it was in there that you have to wear garments underneath your clothing.
I mean, if you look at any religion, they all have ceremonial clothing. If we look at like the Catholics that just went through
Right.
conclave, like
Yeah.
watching the cardinals and the bishops and everyone do their services, like they have ceremonial clothing that they wear.
That's true.
So that was just the way
Yeah, but they don't
Mormons.
walk around 24/7 with it.
Yeah, but nuns are always
Oh,
wearing
that's
it.
true.
Like
Nuns
there's
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think when you take certain vows within the Catholic Church, you wear certain clothing.
That's true.
And it's just
That's
like
true.
that.
Valid point.
Yeah. So it's not out of the norm, I would say, but to keep them so like regimented and inflexible.
Where did you find these garments?
You can buy them, you have to have a temple recommend. So you have to have a recommend saying that you're living your life a certain way. And then once you have that recommend, there's an online store that you can buy them at. Or there's distribution centers, and like the temples sometimes have distribution centers where you can get them.
So you buy your underwear at church. Is
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. I think
Mm-hmm.
other people will find that interesting. I
Yeah.
can't imagine going to my church and being like, "Hey guys, I gotta stop by the store real quick. I need new undergarments."
Mm-hmm. No, it was like a big thing to actually, because growing up out east, there weren't nearly as many opportunities to actually go to a store to buy them. And it was mainly just either like a mail order type situation.
Right.
So anytime like when I was a youth, our temple district was the Toronto temple. So it was in
Okay.
Canada. So we
Oh
would take
wow.
trips to Canada to go to the temple. And all of the adults would go to the distribution center and like buy new underwear every single time. So they'd come out with like their little bags of new underwear, like so happy that they actually just went to a store rather than however they used to get it. I don't even know.
Yeah, back in the day
Yeah,
before the internet, I
before the
wonder what
internet.
they did.
No clue. I had to call somebody.
So, and I haven't researched this. If I went on Amazon, I can't find these
Mm-hmm.
undergarments. Are they blessed? Like, like what is it? Hollow meat? Like they say, I swear to God, Costco went in there, they had a sticker saying that it was blessed meat. I'm like, who started doing that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who blessed it? I would want to know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
because like I don't know if all religions do. Well, most religions have like some sort of dinner prayer that you say, like grace before dinner. And I was just like, why can't I just say grace over the groceries that I bring in when I buy them?
And then it would be
and then
blessed.
They're blessed the whole time.
That's so, yeah.
I don't know.
Because if not, like that's a whole different religion and like getting into, but I just don't understand. Do they go and talk to the cow beforehand? Or I guess they don't eat cows, chickens. Like go to the chickens and they're like, okay, I'm here to bless you before you die. Or do they die and then they're blessing
I don't know.
the remains? It's interesting. I'll have to do research.
Yeah, I do like to think that I am thankful for the animal sacrifice.
Right.
I just be like, so growing up, my uncle had cows. And when we got the meat from the cow, like we would go and pick our cow. And so I know we had Jeffrey one year.
Oh no. I can't.
Yeah. So
that's very traumatic, I feel like, as a kid.
Well, I know, but as like growing up in a farming world, like cows come and go. Like it's more of a natural thing when you grow up realizing where your food comes from. Like when your grandma's out getting the chicken from out back, it's just
my aunt and uncle had a farm though, and like I would go get the eggs. Like that didn't bother me because I'm not. I guess I am killing a baby, but I'm not like in my mind.
It wasn't a real baby.
And like the cows, I like to name them. I bet some of them were slaughtered too. Because I would go looking for some of them.
I'd go looking.
I was lied to.
You were lied to. They didn't go to another farm, Cheryl.
I had Jeffrey for dinner.
You had Jeffrey for dinner. So yeah, we would thank Jeffrey for his sacrifice to keep us healthy.
So y'all would say that in like your prayer or before your prayer?
I think before our prayer. I don't know if we actually ever thanked God for Jeffrey, but maybe we
should have.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I know.
So different, but funny.
Yeah.
If I was sitting at the table, I'd be like, no, thank you. now I know it's Jeffrey.
But no, the garments weren't like blessed, but there was approved sources to buy them, and you're not allowed to make them yourself.
So now, like thinking about churches, and like I have a little bit of an issue of tithes. Like I'm fine with tithes, but it's like the fact that it's constantly asked for, and I feel like there should be times where how much money is actually going to the church. And like you do see some churches, they're thriving, they've built these things, or they incorporate and they say, hey, like this money has went to open a coffee shop in the church, like, or whatever it is. Like I like hearing about that. But who was making the garments? Was the church a hand in that? Which honestly would be a good business strategy, because then they're getting money coming back into the church again. But then it's like, are they forcing us to do this to make extra money?
Yeah. The LDS church is not forthcoming with their financial records.
Really?
Yes.
See, I remember my grandmother went to this church that they would have like this little sign on the wall, and it would tell you how many people were in attendance the Sunday before. It would tell you like how much money that was taken that Sunday. So it kind of gave you like an idea of what was going on, but it wasn't necessarily like detailed. But it was good to see the numbers, because like if you're putting money into something, any business partner, and that's the way that I kind of look at it, you're like a business partner in your church, you should be allowed to know where that money is going.
I wholeheartedly agree. And if you search up on Google the LDS church and how much money it has, there's a whole investment arm of the church that handles the church's investments. And if there's been a lot of like legal filings against them,
I bet.
and it's a deep dive. So that was another thing that I just feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable giving money to an organization where I couldn't be accountable for what they did with it or where it went or how it was being handled.
Right.
So it's that, yeah, that was another issue for me with
I would
the
say
church.
Baptist is pretty, like, that was predominantly what I always went to. And they were really pretty good about forthcoming of what money they had. And like if it was a big expense, I wouldn't say that they tell everything, but like if something new was built or like a playground was updated or something like that, they would go into like, this is how much money that we had that went to do this. And so it gave you an idea, but you still didn't know the total of what was on the books.
Yeah, you'd have an idea of what a playground
But
costs,
it made you feel better.
yeah,
It's because it's like, oh, I can see where my money kind of went.
yeah. And for as family friendly as most Mormons say they are, there are no playgrounds at our churches.
Really?
Mm-mm. None.
Well, okay. No, no. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. So one of the churches that my mama went to, there was a small little playground, but I don't remember them ever taking us out there. So I think that maybe they did like a daycare thing because when Braden was little, he went to a church for like, it was just a morning session so that I could go to school. And so they had a little playground. They would take them out to the playground, let them play. And so, like, kind of like a recess. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you went to church, you sat in your it was 3 hours, it's 2 hours now, but the 3 hours of church, and then you went home.
3 hours of church.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my. Like an hour. Baptist people are like, all right, preacher, it's been an hour. We're trying to beat the lunch crowd. Let's get going.
Yeah, there's no going out to lunch either. You weren't allowed to go shopping to restaurants.
So, Sundays were like,
Church and then home.
and what'd you do whenever you got home from church?
Well, we weren't allowed to play with the neighbor kids growing up. So, I mean, we were lucky in the sense that we were allowed to change out of our Sunday clothes because Sunday clothes were like dresses and,
Yeah.
nice, fancy Sunday clothes. So we were allowed to change out of the clothes into relaxed, like comfy outfits. But we weren't allowed to play with our friends. So sometimes, like, our friends would come and knock on the door and want to play outside, and we weren't allowed to play outside with them. And then, like, we weren't allowed to ride our bikes unless it was like a whole family riding our bike activity.
Like just on a Sunday or in general?
On Sundays.
Okay.
Yeah. No, if it wasn't Sunday, I was cruising around the whole neighborhood. Like I was.
So it's like basically you have to stay with your family. It's like a family oriented day. So whatever your parents decide, like you could do as a family. So like if you wanted to play a game or go for a bike ride, like it had to be.
Yeah. And we could only watch certain TV shows and stuff on Sunday. Like it was very oriented towards anything religious. Like it had to be a religious themed. And sometimes we were allowed to watch like a Disney movie, but it was
Interesting.
normally it had to be like a religious focused thing.
That's interesting about the Disney. I have a cousin that they are religious and they don't believe in like Disney, or that's how they were at one time. I know. And they looked at it as because Disney supported LGBTQ people that it was unacceptable. It was promoting, basically your money was going towards the money that you spent on the Disney movie or renting it or going to Disney for that fact. And I was like, that's a little bit deep.
It is deep. That my family didn't do that type of thing, but I'm sure there are others that did.
And I think they outgrew it, but I know like at the beginning, like the first child, they were like very not for that.
Yeah. So, what were your Sundays like growing up, Cheryl?
Whatever I wanted to do. Actually, like we had no structure. Like if I went to church, like we did not have a dedicated church. It was just going with my mama. So like sometimes we would go, or if I spent the night with her, I would go. Um, I lived with my aunt and uncle for a little bit, so like they always went, so I would get up and go with them. So, but after church, it was like whenever I was little, Western Sizzler, that was our go-to, which I looked forward to. I was excited.
Well, right.
But we would all go out as a big family, like my mama and her sisters and all the kids. Like we were just packing in there. But yeah, we would do that or go pick up KFC and go to the house. And then you changed out your Sunday clothes and did whatever you wanted to. So yeah, there was no restrictions. And I wonder where that comes from. Is that like a Mormon thing or was that your household thing?
Well, there's a lot. It's definitely stems from being a Mormon thing because I mean, if you look at the 10 commandments, there is like thou shalt keep the Sabbath day holy. And so it stems from that.
Okay.
And it's their interpretation of what keeping the day holy meant. And it was just that. Like there were some families who weren't allowed to change out of their Sunday clothes. So if
Oh
you
my
couldn't,
gosh.
yeah, so if you couldn't do the activity in your Sunday clothes, you weren't supposed to do it. Kind of a thing.
Oh.
So there's that level. And like you were encouraged to read your scriptures, you were encouraged to study a gospel topic, you were encouraged to write in your journal or, you know, do things like that to keep God as the primary focus of the day.
Okay.
So I think that was their interpretation of how it should be done.
Yeah, like we would have relaxed days. We always did grocery shopping on Sundays too.
No.
Which I guess that's not what you did.
No. I mean, sometimes like when my cousins were in town and we would have them over for Sundays, we would literally stay up until midnight to try to order a pizza. Because once it hit midnight, it was Monday and you could order the pizza. So literally like the pizza guy shows up at like 12:30. Like, yeah, pizza 12:30. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
What about like dating?
No dating before you were 16. So you had to be 16 to date. And even then, when you were 16, they encouraged group dating. So like, you know, double dates or, you know, a whole group of
more
you go
watchers.
Out. Yeah, because they discouraged you from pairing up too early.
I can understand why. I lost my virginity at 14. So all right, Carrie almost died.
Yeah.
Listening to me say that. Not proud of it and definitely brought my kids up differently and talked about sex more because I didn't get that. And so I can understand though. I think that's a kind of a good rule. Like dating, you can say, like kids say all the time, oh, that's my boyfriend or that's my girlfriend. I think that's fine. It's like the one-on-one though, trying to keep that at a minimal.
Yeah, they did. And like, yeah, we weren't encouraged to date one-on-one until basically college. So that was.
What about like prom? Did you go to prom at school?
Well, I didn't like high school. So I
didn't
might be,
either,
I
but I
know,
still went.
I might be the outlier on this because like I just didn't like it. So I did go to my junior homecoming and junior prom with a date. Um, both of them were kind of group settings. Like we drove in the car together, kind of a thing. But it like we met up with groups, or we picked up another couple or that, you know. So it was groups. And then my senior year, I didn't go to any of it because I didn't go to high school for my senior year. So I was like, I'm not doing anything high school. Like,
wait, you didn't go your senior year? That's new to me.
Yeah, I there was a.
And maybe you told me about this,
yeah,
but
There was a program where if you had a certain GPA and a certain ACT score, you could enroll in the local college.
Oh,
and it
okay.
was so you could do college classes.
That's right.
Yeah, instead of high school. So I took all college classes during my senior year.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and like I literally had one of the best schedules ever because you could only take so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
you couldn't overload yourself because you were still technically high school.
Right.
So literally, like my classes were Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from like 9 to 11.
So on Tuesday and Thursday, you just didn't go to school?
Yeah.
Oh, you little lucky
I
thing.
know. I planned it really well. Like,
It's genius.
I know. I was like,
I got half days, but still, I had to get up in the morning time.
Well, yeah, I still had to get up in the morning because I went to religious classes for 4 years in high school. Early morning seminary. Yeah, I left the house at like 5:45. Took church class from 6 to 7, and then left to go to high school. And I did it for 4 years.
I did one religious class, and I think, like now that I'm thinking back, I was going to University of South Carolina, and I want to say it was like mandated or something, but I failed because I got pregnant and I slept a lot in class. Like that whole semester was a waste for me. I should have, I knew I was pregnant when that spring semester started, and I should have just stopped because I had to do a lot of makeup for that um, when I did go back to school because it hurt my GPA, which is why we're very hard on our kids about GPAs. So, yeah. What about like, so for me, my mom's side of the family is the only side that I ever really known. Now, I did know a couple of people from my dad's side of the family, but not very many. And but my dad smoked. Both my parents drank. I wouldn't say like all the time, but I would say that we were the black sheep of my mom's side of the family because we did like they participated in stuff like that. And then as I became a teenager, like I'm pretty sure my mom probably told some of the family the things that I was up to. And so like my mama drove me to get a pregnancy test whenever I was like 14, 15. So I can imagine that was really hard for her being so religious, but she never showed me that she looked at me less than, which was very good. Yes. Yeah. She was not judgmental about that side. And so like that's the side that I wish most people that were religious, like they would take that road of, okay, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to support you in any kind of way to like help and maybe bring you back. Like, but yeah.
Yeah. No, there was no there's no smoking or drinking in like the Mormon world. Like if you were a card carrying member of the Mormon church, there was no smoking and there was no drinking. Like that is just completely, it's against what they call the word of wisdom. And it's like in the revealed scripture that you are not supposed to smoke or drink. So,
which is interesting because God turned or Jesus turned wine and water into wine or something. Mm-hmm. And so that's how the Catholics, like I learned that young because I was like, how did they get away with drinking? And then I figured out that that was like their will, but it's not to indulge, it's like to sip. And I always found that fascinating that that's like the only religion I think I know that it's acceptable to drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, there was no drinking. So I didn't drink until I was like mid 30s.
Wow.
So, yeah. And I still don't smoke, but it's just I think that's more personal preferences.
Yeah.
I just don't.
See, and I knew too many people that smoked, so it was like curiosity as a kid.
Yeah.
So like smoking a cigarette, I remember me and a friend like stole her grandma's cigarettes, and we were like 8 years old, and tried to smoke a cigarette, and then like I did smoke here and there through high school and stuff like that, even into adulthood, but then tried to like get away from all that. But like smoking was something that it was easy to find somebody that was around that smoked.
Mm-hmm.
And then drinking, it was pretty easy to find. Like I lived with my aunt and uncle for a little while, and I would drink their beer and throw it over the back fence
Oh, that's funny.
because nobody lived there and it was woods, and I was like, so yeah.
So yeah, you just didn't ever do any of that. I will say there are some good things that have come out of Mormon culture though. And recently we introduced you to Mormon funeral potatoes.
Yes, I did not even know that was a thing.
I know.
They were good. They're different, but they're good.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought you took like cheesy hash browns with cornflakes and that was delicious? So, yeah, if you're looking for a new recipe to add to your easy collection, because it's
Yeah.
easy, Mormon funeral potatoes are definitely like a crowd pleaser. Like they were gone, everyone ate them.
Yeah.
I did put too many cornflakes on them this last time though. So
Yeah, but that's kind of good.
yeah,
Gives a little sweet taste.
a little crunchy. Yeah. So yeah, there's that, and I mean, Mormons do really have a good, kind heart to them. So it's just like I have met some of the kindest, most generous people ever in the world, and like
There's good apples
yeah,
and bad apples, I feel like, in any religion.
oh, definitely,
So,
yeah, you can't trust them all,
no.
and I definitely met a lot of the ones you can't trust, and when you put little communities together that are closer knit and like more bubbled together, I would say, like, because
Yeah.
the Mormons, when you live out of Utah or out of Arizona or Idaho, where it's like a big concentration of them, like, you do try to keep them close to you because they are supposed to be living your standards. They are supposed to understand your way of life. They're supposed to understand
It's
all of
almost like
that.
a support group.
It is. Um, but then you do get those bad apples where they try to abuse the situation
Right.
there or take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
Like there was one guy growing up that tried to get people to invest all kinds of money, and they would get money and money and money out of just community, like Mormon community members. And then after a while, they'd take this big family trip to Disney World. And it's like,
Imagine that.
and then like they never got the return on their investment,
Mm-hmm.
and it caused a lot of issues.
I bet. They
Yeah, I
trusted
mean,
that person and then
yeah,
they
because
got screwed over.
they did, and it wasn't just like little chunks of change; it was like tens of thousands per family.
That's
Yeah. So yeah, you can't.
that could be somebody's life savings at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like depending on how they were saving, they're like, oh, like this is a great idea. I want to buy into it. And then they get ripped off. Oh,
Yeah. No, I mean, it was really sad. And I mean, luckily, my parents were never involved in any of that.
that's good.
So yeah, and as growing up as an adult, then I was leery of situations like that. So like, it taught me a lesson too.
That's true.
Yeah. So what about organized religion now? Are you?
So I currently don't go to church. I think I kind of like, I don't know, we went through stages. So like me and Scott got married. We didn't attend church forever. We had a stint of moving back to Mississippi, and he went back to the guard. He went to the guard from active duty. And during the time that we were there, we ended up joining a church, which I think is a great church. I don't have anything negative to say about them.
Mm-hmm.
Cross Gates Church, if anybody is watching from Mississippi, I really loved it. And that's where Braden went to preschool. And they were all very nice. I never had any kind of issues. I never felt like it was a big enough church that I didn't feel like anybody was in my business because it's not that I have anything to hide, but I don't need gossip from all the women in the church. I try to stay drama free, and that's why I like big churches because there's too many people for them to keep up with everyone. We did not go to like Sunday school, though, for adults.
Mm.
We only went to worship, but we would put the kids in their appropriate rooms for that time. And that was fine. There was times that we really needed it. Like we went through a lot of rough times of the transition of moving back to Mississippi, financially and mentally. And so it was that feeling of getting lifted up on a day and like everybody's so positive around you. And I do enjoy that. As far as believing, and people are probably going to hate me, it's hard for me to believe in one certain thing because there's so many religions, and now you're trying to, who's the correct person? Like if you're trying to truly follow and do what God wants you, like which one is the right one? So I struggle with understanding that portion. I think it's a great way though to build a community and like to meet people, especially if you move to a new area. We did not do that here, but we thought about it. The other places that we lived, we never joined the churches, and it's not that we're devil worshippers. We just don't participate in going to a location, and our belief system is a little bit different than maybe what the standard one would be. So we're navigating that and learning, and I'm always open to different religions. I love like learning how they think and what brought them to where they are.
No, I think that, I mean, I don't think you can fault that line of thinking though, because it's like, I know you and Scott, and you're like really kind and you want to help people and you always just want to do like the right thing.
Right.
And I consider that a belief system, a belief in doing what's right. And like, if you do believe in a God and you want to do what he would also want you to do, as in, you know, in the right thing in the right moment kind of a situation.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, do you have to have an organized religion to tell you to do that?
No, I don't think so, because me and him did not grow up that way. Like he went to church, but it was from a church bus that would like come through the neighborhood and pick up kids,
So
which
funny.
we told you
I
about, which
know.
is kind of
This
like
cracks me up so
crazy.
much.
Like his mom just let him go on this random van. It wasn't
Never a
even a
bad idea to
bus.
serve the Lord. Come on, send him on that bus.
I don't know. Like, Jesus take the wheel. Is that what his mom thought? Like, I don't know.
She was like, I don't know what to do with that one.
Yeah, like,
There
sure, you want to go?
Go to
Like,
that
I would
church.
never let my kid just
Get
randomly get on this. I'd be like, no, I'll go drop you off. Like, even if like she didn't go very many times with him, but I would be like, hey, I'll drop you there. That way I know exactly where you are.
And let me meet the adults who are around too. Like, let's figure out, oh, who Reverend Johnny is, you know, like.
Yeah. That's scary.
I know. And especially in the light of what happened with churches and Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts, anything. Like, you don't know what's going on.
No.
Like, no, absolutely not. No van is pulling out to take my kid to church. Like, I guess, like, in her mind, she thinks they went to church. We didn't have GPS back then.
No.
But, like, what if it was some kind of cult, or I don't know. I don't know. And what about if he never showed up? Did she get the tag number? Like,
probably not.
I'm like a psycho, and I'm like, what's that tag number again?
I know.
I need your social security number. Like, no, nobody's taking my kid anywhere.
Yeah, it was just a different time, though. I mean, it's just different back then.
So where do you stand now?
I am hopeful, and I hope that there is a God or a divine institution of some sort that could be looking out for us.
I think there's something.
And I don't know if we have the right to necessarily divine that it's one, or decide that it's like one specific person. Right. You know, like, I don't know. I am hopeful that there is something out there, but I don't think that whatever is out there would categorize us and pin us down and try to make it so that there's only one way.
Yeah.
Like if we're all being really good people and we're all trying our hardest to do what's right and kind and good in this situation, like what does it matter if there's this belief about tithing and this belief about tithing? You know, like
Yeah.
why does it matter what that is? Like, but if you're trying to do your best and be a kind, honest, good person, like that probably matters a lot more in the long run than necessarily like what religion you've tied yourself to.
Yeah.
So I don't think I will ever step foot in any sort of religious or like organized religion as a member of it. Do I go to a religious service if it's like a family member who's doing something? Sure. I will have
Yeah.
no problem like going to support someone if I'm invited. Like I would have no problem going.
Yeah.
Um, but there's just after going through such a strict religious community, I cannot see myself ever trying to do that again or like putting my family through it. Like
Yeah.
it's too disheartening when you find yourself constantly falling short.
Yeah, because like how is that affecting kids as they grow up? Because they're not feeling worthy just in general, not really worthy like with God, but maybe in the eyes of their parents, like they feel like a disappointment. I could see where that would be a toll on anyone
Yeah.
that you feel like I would probably beat myself up, like, oh my gosh, I messed up, or oh my gosh, I should not have done this. I'm, yeah,
Yeah. And I just like looking at raising my kids and being the type of mom that I wanted to be, I couldn't in good faith like pin them down to they had to be some way or I didn't love them. And I'm not saying that's how I was raised. Like I'm not saying
no,
that
no, no,
whether,
no.
but I could see how me as in my personality and how I was living the religion, I saw that trajectory of my life going that way. That I was like, if thinking about what they could do that stepped out of the lines of what was accepted within the church,
Yeah,
like LGBTQ people, that community, are not very welcome in the Mormon church.
that's a shame.
And it is. And that was kind of a big thing for me because I looked at my kids and I was just like, they're little, but I don't know who they are yet.
Right. Like, who are they going to be in years
Yeah.
to come?
And like you can't look at it. Well, sometimes you can look at a 2-year old and kind of project where they're going. Sometimes that happens. Not everyone though.
My
And
brother-in-law, we knew. Like, I met him at 6 years old. I was like, you have a lot of things. He loved playing with my hair and stuff. Like, but we didn't know.
yeah, you didn't know until you actually knew.
Yeah.
So, but like even at 6, you probably allowed him the space to become who he is.
Yeah.
And from me, like I looked at my kids and I'm like, can I allow them the space to be them? And with such a strict religious upbringing and a strict religion that I couldn't see my way out of, I don't think I would have accepted their choices had, I'm not saying anything, I don't know.
Right.
They're
Like,
still
it's like,
little.
what if, though?
Yeah, all of the what ifs started to pile up. And those are things, again, like I said before, like I couldn't turn a blind eye to those feelings. Like I
Right.
couldn't
Like,
like
my kids come first. Like, religion, like, I know that that's not the way it's taught, but I'm going to choose my kids every day, all day, over a religion.
yeah.
Like, if people want to shame me and kick me out of it, like that would be fine. I'd be like, no, I'm here to support them regardless of what they decide.
Yeah. So that's another thing that was upsetting to me is if I saw anything happening in the future where like I would have loved them less. And I
Yeah.
was like, I can't do that. I
And there's
can't.
probably people that completely turn their back on their child
Yeah.
because they leave the church. Like, you haven't had that. So there is other families though that they completely shut off contact.
Yeah. And I couldn't I couldn't do that. And like I've seen that. Like I've seen the situations where the families get broken apart, and it was just it's sad.
And a lot of those kids probably went down a really rough path because they they were at rock bottom. They felt like, you know, the one person or the two people that should love you the most in the world is your parents. So if they're not supporting you, where are you at?
Exactly.
Like basically like give up on life. Like
yeah, and I don't think I know anyone personally who ever felt like that way, but you do hear those stories. You do hear the testimonials or whatever the stories of people online that felt that way. And with their stories, like I just couldn't.
no.
There was no way. There was no way that I could try to force them into a world that they
Maybe they didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah. Or like that I couldn't love them the way I wanted to just love them for who they are.
Unconditionally. Like that is something that is taught, like unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
God supposedly does it.
Right.
And but then in the church system, if your kids don't do, like, why are you not unconditionally loving your child? Like I've made plenty of mistakes as a kid, and my mom and my dad like still continued to love me regardless. Like they could be disappointed, like not saying parents can't be disappointed or mad or yell at you or ground you, but they never just was like shunned me away.
Well, and that's something where like you learn as a young teen or like tween that if you didn't toe the line and if you didn't keep the commandments and you didn't keep like the word of wisdom, where if you did smoke or you did drink, like you were shamed for that, and you had to go through like a repentance process, and that involved like various steps and stuff like this. And
Oh my
so
gosh. So it's all the church getting involved in your business.
yeah, and
Ugh.
you either admitted to it or you lied through your teeth and you hid it. And I was like, I don't ever want my kids to feel like they have to hide something from me.
No.
And
no, that's like my number one thing. Don't lie to me. That's our number one family rule. Do not lie. Number two is I want you to feel comfortable coming to me no matter what it is. I don't care what the situation is. Like just come talk to me. I would rather you talk to me and I will keep calm than for you to bottle it up or things to escalate. Like talk through it.
yeah, so like having kids just completely changed my outlook on who I was and who I wanted to be and the type of mom and the type of family and just the type of life that I wanted my kids to have.
And that was something that you said you were the first one out of you and Brian to be like, okay, this is my decision and this is how I feel. And then did he accept it right away or did he kind of struggle?
He was thoroughly shocked. Like
Yeah.
I don't think he knew that it was as serious as I was like making it out to be, kind of a thing. Because I told him how I was feeling about everything and that basically I was done with it. And every April and October, the church does what they call general conference, where they do just basically online church.
Okay.
Where it's like the prophet and all of like the apostles are address the church. And it's a big thing. It's a whole weekend. Like you plan your chili, you plan your funeral potatoes, like like you plan the
it's a watch
rolls.
Party.
It is like and then like sometimes you get your friends over, everyone has notepads and you're taking notes and you're just a spiritual renewal type weekend. And I didn't turn it on. And I just kept going with life as normal. Well, and Brian knew right then and there that I was pretty serious about not going to church anymore.
That was probably his sign to be like, okay, she's not kidding. Yeah. Like it's not that, oh, she got mad about something and she's venting. and she's going to change her mind. That was like his.
Yeah.
And that's hard to, Mormon versus Mormon. I guess, like, I feel like that's something for you guys to walk away. It's definitely something I think people like to know, like, why and where did it start? Who decided? I could imagine, like, even the church, like, I don't know how much they know, but like they could also try to say that it was an influence from outside.
No, it was their own influence, let me tell you. Like nothing outside the church took me away from it. The church pushed me away from the church. That's hands down 100% what it was. There were things the church taught, the church culture, the church is 100% them. There was nothing outside that made me be like, yeah, this is way better. This is going to happen. Nope.
Yeah.
It was 100%
It's
the
like
church.
not a friend, not a family member. Like it is literally just their doings.
And when I told my husband about it, I told him that I would support him if he stayed in or if he left. I left it up to him. And then we kind of didn't talk about it for a while. It was probably a good like 6 months that I didn't bring it up and he didn't really bring it up because I was just like, this is his journey too.
Right.
And
like you don't want to force him to do what you're doing.
Exactly. And I didn't want to influence him one way or the other. Like, he would ask questions sometimes and he'd be like, what about this? And I would show him the resources just even on the church website that would answer his question, and then he was like, I'm out too. So I mean, the church let us out of the church. It wasn't a person, it wasn't anyone else. It was that.
That's the best way to go.
Yeah. So do you think we're wrapped up with part 2, or do you think there's more?
I think so. People could, like, if they want to go, let's see, do we advertise our email? Like, we could take emails if people wanted to, or you can also DM us on Facebook, or like if you have more questions about Mormon versus Mormon, we could like maybe fit it into the end of an episode and be like, okay, we're going to answer these questions that people have had. So if you have questions, send them.
Yeah, you can. TikTok is on there. If you listen to the after thing, I do say our email address, but I'll drop it in the descriptions of the podcast so that we have it right there. And if you're an ex-Mormon as well, don't hesitate to reach out and share your story with me or Cheryl. Like, we are happy to listen and happy to support and understand as well.
And if you want to be anonymous, if like we bring it up into a thing, like we'll leave you completely anonymous because I understand privacy, and some people, this is a big step for you to like talk about it on a platform where anybody can hear about it. So like I wouldn't want to go into anybody's privacy. So
yeah. So anyway, reach out, like, comment, share. We appreciate all of the support that we already have gotten and look forward to many more subscribers.
Yes. And as always, cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to the Unfiltered Duo podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who might enjoy it too. You can follow us on all social media platforms for updates, behind the scenes, and more content. Got questions, feedback, or a topic you'd love for us to cover? Reach out at unfilteredduopodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep listening.